Hello, everybody, and welcome to Level the Field Leadership. My name is Dr. Rachel Gallardo, and I'm very excited to have you guys join me for episode 80. I can't even begin to believe that this is episode 80. Like most people just give up after episode 10, but here I am doing 8 times more than that. And it's because of the support that I receive, the feedback that I receive from people that I work with, the messages I get on Instagram. And it's just been a really, really incredible journey that I'm so very thankful to be a part of. If this is your first episode, well, you've got 79 other episodes that you can listen to. But the whole point of each of these episodes is to help you level the field of challenges that you encounter in the work environment by giving you the tools to help you correct some of those issues. I do believe that workplace burnout is very real, and anything that we can do to reduce burnout and fatigue in our leadership roles is ultimately going to have a positive impact on our team. It's going to have a positive impact on us. It's going to benefit us at home. Like all of the things are going to get better. I do try to post an episode on the second and the fourth Tuesday of the month. So again, if this is your first episode, just kind of keep that in mind. Maybe make a mental note on your mental calendar there, and you can join me in a couple of weeks for the next episode. And in the meantime, like I said, you've got 79 other episodes you can go back and listen to. If this is not your first episode, thank you so much for your continued support. Obviously, you enjoy the content because you keep coming back. So just continue to subscribe, share this with other people, share it with the tribe of people that you care about, that you work with. Your comments really and truly do help get the word out to others. And so share it. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, reach out to me on Instagram, send me a message. I'm happy to have a conversation. Maybe if it's just a quick dialogue or to do some sort of training on the side. But leadership really and truly is a journey, and I don't think that you should have to do it alone. And so don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out. If you are more of a visual learner and you would like to see the hand gestures and facial expressions and all of that, I do have this episode, and I'm in the process of transferring all of the episodes over to YouTube. So feel free to go and check things out over there. Or if you're somebody that just prefers to read the information, I do have a newsletter that comes out every month. So you can go to my website, rachelgallardo.net, sign up to receive the newsletter. You'll get that. You can read over it. And maybe that's something that you apply for that month to help make you a better leader. If you implement 12 things throughout the end of the year, you're not going to be the same leader today that you are a year from now. So, baby steps can be really, really effective, and there's no better place and time to start than now. So today, if you're new, then you're going to learn that I do try to base everything off of scripture and just different things that I see going on in my own life. Conversations that I've had with people, events that I see occurring. And so I do like to base it off of scripture because me personally, I can't separate that from what I feel like I'm called to do. So today's scripture is based on Matthew 11:28. And it says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And I thought that this was really fitting because there's so many people right now that are just exhausted. And I'm not denying just how busy everybody is. We've got a ton of obligations, a ton of responsibilities we have to fulfill. We've got projects going on at work and deadlines that we have to meet. And maybe this is a busy season for you, depending upon what time of year you might be listening to this. And then we have to go home and we've got to make dinner and go to the grocery store and pay the bills and, get our kids to whatever soccer event or extracurricular, whatever is going on. Plus, if you're listening to this in real time, it's homecoming season. And so that's a whole new layer of just different things you've got to do, shopping that's got to occur, dates that have to be planned, and so forth. So it can be really and truly exhausting, trying to manage all of this and really trying to juggle it. But quite frankly, if you're holding on to things that happened in the past, you're actually making it more difficult for yourself to be able to do all of the things that you need to do in your present. And so I have 5 reasons why people tend to hold on to the past. Um, and this episode is going to be formatted just a little bit differently because I want for us to approach this as though somebody that we work with, whether that be a colleague or a work friend or a supervisor, comes to you and they're still talking about something that happened last week, last month, last year, 10 years ago. And for whatever reason, you can just tell that they can't let it go. And if you look at some of the research out there, you look at some of the data, there's typically 5 reasons why, or 5 prominent reasons, I should say, why people are not able to let go of the past. Now, depending upon the situation that they come to you with, it could be one of these 5. It could be 3 or 4 of these 5. Shoot, it could be all 5. I mean, who really knows, right? But I just want to take some time to kind of explain what some of these are, so that way whenever somebody does come to you as the leader, which by the way, you don't need a title to be a leader. Everybody has the ability to be a leader. I don't care what industry you're in, how long you've been in the industry, how big your office is, none of that matters. If somebody comes to you and you can tell that they're not letting go of something, maybe you can help them identify why they're not able to let it go, and you can help guide them in the direction to be able to move past whatever this obstacle is that keeps getting in their way, so that way they can move forward. Okay. So, the first reason why some people are simply not able to let something go is that there is a very strong emotional attachment to the event. And that strong emotional attachment could be positive in nature, or it could be really negative in nature. And these attachments can create a sense of comfort or a sense of familiarity, and it makes it very, very hard to move on. Even if the situation was negative, it can still be a place where that person is kind of parked at the place of their pain, and they can't put the car into drive to move forward. So let's say, for example, a colleague comes to you and they're still talking about something that happened last year. Maybe they didn't get the promotion that they thought that they should have had, or maybe they weren't able to work on that project that they really wanted to work on, or they feel stuck and they're trying to leave the organization, but for whatever reason, they're not able to do that because of some other external things that are going on. You have to be able to help that person to understand that their emotions are not always the most reliable. So when something has control of your emotions, that thing or that person has control over you. And there are some people that they park at the place of their pain because they were able to receive some sort of attention, or maybe it was just too painful to move past, and they feel as though, well, since I didn't get that promotion and I put my full identity into getting that promotion, now I'm emotionally stuck in this negative place because I'm still doing this particular job whenever I wanted to do this other job. So, helping those individuals to identify that emotional state of mind that they're in, that emotional attachment, and just ask general questions, well, okay, so you didn't get that position that you wanted a year ago. What have you done since then to help you see that getting that promotion was probably for your benefit? So sometimes if we ask the right questions, they can begin to see, well, if I'd gotten that promotion, that means that I would have had to work longer and I would have been traveling more than I wanted to. And so helping people to see that, okay, so if this thing didn't work out in your favor and you're really disappointed in it, look at all of the good things that have actually come from you not getting that promotion. Look at the good things that happened with us not landing that client. I really and truly believe that there is something positive that can happen in every single solitary situation. And if we stay parked at being upset or disappointed in the event that occurred, we're not able to see the good thing of not having that thing that we thought we wanted. Unfortunately, we learn a lot about life in reverse, and in the moment we can only make the best decision that we can possibly make. And then in hindsight, you're like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best, but how in the world were you supposed to know that? A similar but just minor example, we put new tires on our car and then we had to get a different car. And it's like, oh, crud. If we'd realized that we were just going to be getting a different vehicle, then we would have never spent the money for those tires, right? But you can't hold that against yourself, and you can't be negative about it, and you can't just stew over it over and over and over again, because it's going to cause you to be stuck. Also, on the flip side of that, a positive experience and those positive emotional connections to the past can also prevent you from moving forward. Because if you're starting to think, well, that was the best that it was ever going to be, then how can you ever look forward to something new? You might be missing out on new opportunities because you thought that you had peaked. When in all actuality, you maybe leveled up and you maybe got that next promotion, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're now stuck there. you can always move forward. You can always do something differently. I know, like, I'm not currently chained to a desk. I could get up and walk away if I really wanted to. But sometimes, if you have those strong emotional attachments, like I said, good or bad, they can cause you to be metaphorically chained to your current situation with the inability to move past it. So when somebody comes to you and they're feeling and telling you these things, just stop and ask them questions about, well, did you stop and consider it this way, or did you look at it this way? We can never force people to do something. So I want to make that abundantly clear. But if you ask the right questions, maybe you'll get them to start thinking about the situation just a little bit differently, and that will help them to become unstuck. Okay. So emotional attachment, that's one of the reasons why people can't let go of the past. Another reason why people really struggle with letting go of the past is because their identity is formed in those past experiences. So when we talk about past experiences, especially if they're really significant ones, this can really play a crucial role in shaping a person's identity. So it's kind of related to that emotional connection, but we're talking about how we see ourselves. And if we choose to let go, then that feeling is kind of like losing a part of ourself. So it can really be overwhelming. So full disclosure, there was a point in my life in one of my HR positions, actually the very last HR position that I had before I moved into teaching, where I was actually fired. They wanted for me to do something that I thought was highly unethical. I refused to do it. They terminated my employment. They gave me a severance. And lo and behold, they still went through with the thing that I told them not to go through with. A bunch of employees that they fired that I said was unethical for them to fire did end up bringing a class action lawsuit against the organization. Those employees won. And the company, they had new ownership. I mean, it was a whole big thing. But if I had chosen to stay stuck in that position and just really put my entire identity of, oh no, this one organization in this one area in this one industry didn't want me, so now that means that maybe I'm not valuable, or I'm dumb, or I don't have any abilities. If I had put my entire identity into that termination, I know for a fact I would not be where I'm at today. So we have to really take some stock in that fact that if one little event happens, that doesn't define who you are in your entirety. You have knowledge, you have skills, you have abilities, you have educations, you've got degrees, you've got certifications, you've got work experience. That just because one, two people, or you got terminated or lay off from an organization, just because they can't see the value that you bring to the table, that doesn't mean that you're not valuable. So one thing that you can ask whenever people are talking about this situation with you and they're just, you feel like they're stuck. I mean, it's okay to ask them, you do realize that you are more than this position. You do realize that you are more than this job title. You are a wife, you're a husband, you're a daughter, you're a father, you're a mother, you're XYZ, blah, 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 blah. And if we don't remind people of that and remind them that they actually wear quite a few hats, then they can really feel, if that one particular area in their life isn't going the way that they thought it would, that everything else is totally lost. And that's just simply not true. Like I said, burnout is real, and people can get stuck. And the biggest battle that you'll ever have is the battle that's going on between your ears. But we as leaders can help people move past this by getting them to see things from a broad picture standpoint. Stop focusing on the individual trees. Look at the entire forest. It's going to do you so much better. Okay. So emotional attachment is reason number one why people can't let go of things. Identity formation is reason number two why people can't let go of things. The third reason why people are not able to let go of the past is because they are afraid of change. Oh, change. And I've talked about change and change management in previous episodes. But change, let's be honest, change can be exhausting. It can be one of the most daunting things, depending upon how big of the change it is that this person is having to go through. And holding on to the past might make it seem safer than actually facing the uncertainties of the future, even if the past is painful. Because, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. So if I hang on to this particular pain and I don't have to address anything, and I can just, you know, embrace it and own it and just be stuck in this moment, then I don't ever have to worry about reflecting on something new. I don't have to worry about exposing myself to the potential of being hurt again, which there goes that emotional attachment piece. And so people can really and truly think that they are safer by dwelling on the past. Because if I never do anything new, if I never step out and do something different, if I never take a risk, if I never take a chance, then I don't have to worry about hurting myself again. I don't have to worry about this change occurring. And it can cause people to really and truly feel stuck. And so one question I always like to ask people whenever we're dealing with something related to change and there's a lot of just anxiousness around it, I just simply ask them, what is it exactly that you're afraid of? Because if you can get to the root of what somebody is really and truly afraid of, and you can help them see the root of what it is that they're afraid of, you may have the ability to help them start to get out of that item that's clinging them to the past. Okay. Fear of change really and truly is a real thing. But change can also be a really beautiful thing because if you do something different, you may discover that you like it more. You might discover that it's easier. You might meet people that you've never met before. And so we want to try to dismiss that idea of change. And if you do something wrong, who cares? If you fail, who cares? Everything is an opportunity to learn. But if you're only doing the same thing over and over and over again and you're expecting a different result, you are setting yourself up for failure every single time. All right. So, emotional change, reason number one, identity formation, reason number two, fear of change, reason number three. Item number four, remember I said I was going to give you five. So, item number four, now this one gets a little bit deeper than probably all of them, at least in my own opinion. Um, just straight up, there are unresolved issues. So maybe they have feelings of guilt. Maybe they have feelings of regret, feelings of anger. And all of those components are keeping individuals tied to past events. So, man, I really should have, applied for that job. I should have had that conversation with that employee. I should have spoken up during that meeting. If I had done X, Y, or Z, then I wouldn't be in this current situation right now. When people feel as though they don't have resolution, of an issue where they have that regret, have that anger, have that feeling of guilt, then these emotions can resurface and it can make it very, very difficult to move forward. If you are talking to somebody and you feel whenever you're having this conversation that this is what the issue is, then I really, really, really hope that your organization has, it's called an EAP or an employee assistance program, where this individual can get some sort of mental health counseling. Because if they're really talking about these feelings of guilt and anger or regret, it likely goes a lot deeper than just a workplace issue. There might be ties to personal issues as well. So, for example, if I had spoken up in that meeting, then perhaps this particular program would have gotten funding, and then we wouldn't have had to lay off these individuals. And I know these people, and it was like 2 months before Christmas. And so I feel really bad that their Christmas was impacted, or whatever the situation might be. But if somebody is having a hard time letting go of the past, anything that we can do to help them understand that, okay, so you made a mistake, you feel as though you should have done something, but you didn't, as long as you don't do it again and you can recognize, next time you're in a meeting, you'll have the confidence to use your voice. You won't be afraid to approach that employee. You won't be afraid to go after that opportunity. I would much rather do something and fail than to sit back and say, oh man, I wonder what would have happened if I had spoken up in that meeting. I wonder what would have happened if I had applied for that job. I wonder what would happen if I had agreed to give that presentation. Feelings of guilt can be very, very impactful. And to a certain extent, this goes beyond just what we can do from a leadership standpoint to support other people. Again, people have a lot of pressure. They have a lot of things that are going on in their life. And so sometimes it's not just what's happening at work. They may be carrying those feelings of regret and anger into the workplace. And so understanding kind of where that line is and then supporting them to go and find resources that will help them to feel better about themselves can be really, really helpful. Maybe they need to apologize to somebody. Maybe they just need to forgive themselves. And sometimes that can be a really challenging thing to do. So I'm not advocating that you become a counselor. I'm not advocating you become a psychologist. Please don't do that. That is illegal if you do not have a license. Make sure you're licensed and you've done all of the things necessary if you're offering counseling services. But perhaps you can encourage that person to seek a support group or mental health counseling or something like that. So that way they can resolve those issues and then begin to move forward. All right. So that's item number 4. Unresolved issues can keep people stuck in the past. And then finally, the very last thing is just strictly nostalgia and idolization. So people will sometimes romanticize the past, and they'll focus on the good while downplaying the bad. And when people have this type of selective memory, it can really create a longing for what once was without really seeing it for what it actually was. So, and if we don't see our past for what it actually was, and we don't see that, maybe this part of my life really and truly is better, it's going to be harder to embrace the present, and you're going to see that that person will remain stuck in the past. So sometimes people will do this whenever they reflect on a former organization that they used to work at. And so they really hate the company that they're currently at. And so they'll stop and they'll have these moments of, well, I remember when I worked at XYZ organization and, they let us wear jeans on Friday and I miss the coworker that I worked with. And oh, that one time, which the 10 years that you worked there, they're going to talk about that one time that maybe their supervisor bought lunch. And so they can really make it seem better than what it really was. Sometimes people will do this whenever they reflect on former relationships. They make it seem like it's better because maybe they're a little lonely right now. And so they're kind of thinking about going back to that ex when really they just need to stay single because that's the best thing that could be done for them. So talk to them. Ask him to, really reflect on, well, tell me a little bit more about this past situation. And maybe you can drop little nuggets of, well, was it really that way? Or is that just how you remember it? Our memories are not always reliable. Our neural channels, they kind of change. The brain kind of misremembers information. Never underestimate the power of suggestion. If they think things or they're seeing something on social media or they watch a movie, then some of those pieces might then start to form with those old memories of that organization or that former coworker or whatever, when in all actuality, it really wasn't that great in the moment. But I think sometimes we do this as a defense mechanism. We don't want to think that we messed up or we're trying to justify whatever move it is that we made. And, reflecting on it, we're like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best of moves. And so we make some situation in our past better than what it actually was because we're trying to feel better about it. But ultimately, that's never a good thing. So that's not to say that we should talk badly about people. I mean, if they're not in our life anymore, then they're not in our life. And if you really and truly could keep an accurate record of what that past event was, what that past company was, what that past employee was, and you were journaling about it, and maybe you've got videos that document all sorts of things and pictures that document all sorts of things, then maybe it really was better. But in most instances, it's really not that great. People remember it better than what it really was. And if you can help them to remember that the grass wasn't necessarily greener on that other side of the fence, then they're more likely to let go of the past, embrace how wonderful their current present is. And if it's not a great and wonderful present in the moment, then maybe they can start taking the steps to move them in the direction that they want to go in. So there really is a lot of complex layers there, but I know that there are people that come to you that want to talk about things that happened in the past, that they're still ticked off that this department did that and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes we just need to let it go. If it's not anything that is in your ability to change, and if it's not something that the organization is going to change, at the end of the day, you could also remind this person, you are not chained to a desk. If you really and truly don't like it here, if you are really and truly that upset about things that have happened in the organization, things that have happened with our team, the changes in leadership that have occurred, I will support you and help you to find another position because I, as your leader, care that much about you. I don't want to see you in this mental anguish. I don't want to see you upset and discouraged. Life is too short. We only have so many heartbeats. How can I help you take that next step so that way you can move forward and embrace happiness and peace and comfort in your life. So that's what I got for today. It can be really, really hard to have these conversations. It can be really hard to let go of the past, but it's back there and we have to live forward because we do only have so many heartbeats. We have knowledge, we have skills, and we have abilities. And if we continue to live in the past, we're never going to be able to use them in the present to then build our future. So I say all of that to say this, that you really and truly are a leader, no matter what you're leading, no matter where you're at. I hope that the things that we talked about in this episode today really kind of helped you to think about maybe some things that maybe you're holding on to in the past, or think about that one employee, that keeps bringing something up. Maybe you can kind of start to help this person to move forward. And if not, boundaries are beautiful. Sometimes you just have to tell people, look, I'm not going to discuss this with you anymore. That was in the past. And if you can't let it go, if we can't talk about something else, then I'm not going to be able to have a relationship with you in that way in this environment. It is okay to use your words. It is okay to set up boundaries. But also, too, you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you can say that you have done every possible thing that you could to help that person before you finally say, and I'm done. Okay. So take care of yourself, take care of your team. You can 1000% do this. And until next time.